Florence is a city that carries an air of enchantment, its streets lined with history, romance, and a touch of mystery. It is a place where the past is alive, where every corner seems to echo with the whispers of those who walked before. But not all the stories of Florence are ones of joy and triumph. Hidden within its cobblestone streets and under the shadow of its grand cathedrals is a tale of heartbreak, loss, and an undying sorrow. This is the legend of the Ghost Bride of Florence, a young woman whose tragic love story has transcended time, leaving her spirit to wander the city in search of what she has lost. The story begins many centuries ago, in a Florence still ruled by the grandeur of the Medici and the splendor of Renaissance art. In this city of beauty lived a young woman whose name has been lost to history. She was said to be as lovely as the Florence sunsets, with a heart full of hope and love for the man she was about to marry. Their love was a bond she believed would last forever, a promise sealed by the vows they were to exchange. The day of their wedding arrived with the kind of brightness that seemed like a blessing. The small church in the heart of Florence was filled with friends and family, each of them dressed in their finest, their faces glowing with joy. The air was fragrant with flowers, and the sound of church bells echoed across the city. The bride, radiant in her white gown, waited at the altar, her hands trembling not with fear but with the thrill of a love about to be sanctified. But as the morning hours stretched into the afternoon, something began to change. A quiet murmur passed through the crowd. The groom was late. At first, it was thought to be a simple delay, perhaps he had been held up preparing for the big moment. But as the minutes dragged on, unease began to ripple through the room. The bride, once so vibrant with anticipation, started to lose her composure. Her gaze flicked repeatedly to the church doors, hoping to see him enter. As the whispers grew louder, the truth became undeniable. He wasn't coming. There are many versions of what happened to the groom. Some say he had fallen for another woman and decided to abandon his bride at the last moment. Others claim he had been overwhelmed by fear, unable to face the commitment of marriage, and fled Florence entirely. And then there are darker theories, rumors of a man who was stopped not by cold feet but by tragedy. Perhaps he met his end on his way to the church, leaving his bride with nothing but questions and sorrow. What remains consistent across the versions is the devastation of the bride. When it became clear that she would not be wed that day or perhaps ever, she fled the church in tears. She wandered the streets of Florence, her gown dragging behind her, collecting the dirt and grime of the cobblestones. Her veil, once a symbol of purity and joy, fluttered in the wind like a ghostly shadow. By nightfall, she found herself by the banks of the Arno River. Consumed by despair, unable to imagine a life without the man she loved, she ended her life, letting the dark waters take her. But her story didn't end there. The river may have claimed her body, but her spirit lingered. To this day, countless stories are told of a bride dressed in white, her face pale as moonlight, wandering the streets of Florence. She is often seen near the church where she was abandoned or along the bridges that cross the Arno, her gown shimmering faintly as if caught in an otherworldly glow. One man reported seeing her late one night as he returned home from a festival. She stood at the edge of a bridge, her gaze fixed on the water below. Concerned, he approached her, asking if she was all right. Without a word, she turned to face him, and he froze. Her eyes were hollow, her face lifeless yet full of sorrow. Before he could react, she vanished, leaving him shaken and unable to forget her haunting presence. Another tale comes from a young couple who stayed in a historic inn near the church. They awoke to the sound of soft crying outside their door. When they opened it, they saw her, a bride dressed in white, her veil partially covering her face. She didn't speak, didn't move, but simply stood there, her sorrow palpable. Then, just as suddenly as she appeared, she faded away, leaving only the faint scent of flowers behind. Over the years, her presence has become a part of Florence's identity. Locals speak of her not with fear but with sympathy, viewing her as a tragic figure caught in a moment of heartbreak. Some believe that if you see her, it's a reminder to cherish the love you have and to honor the commitments you make. Others say that offering her a flower or a prayer can bring her a moment of peace, a small solace in her endless search for closure. Her story has even drawn tourists who hope to catch a glimpse of her or simply to feel the eerie connection to a tale so intertwined with Florence's history. They walk the streets where she is said to appear, pause by the Arno, and visit the old church, imagining the events of that fateful day. And so, the Ghost Bride of Florence continues her journey, her spirit woven into the fabric of the city. Her story is a reminder that even in places of great beauty, sorrow can leave its mark. It is a testament to the power of love, even when it turns to loss, and a warning of the pain that can come from broken promises. She is Florence's eternal bride, a figure of tragedy and mystery, forever searching for the peace that eludes her.